Hello, and thank you for joining our webinar today. I'm Deborah McGrath, Senior Manager, Technical Product Solutions Marketing with ServiceNow, and I'm joined today by Aaron Picard, who is a Senior Principal Outbound Product Manager and SPM Subject Matter Expert. Together, Aaron and I will be presenting this webinar on lenses and portfolio plans, which provides for focused planning that enables business leaders to align their work with strategy, to prioritize that work, and to automatically track progress against their business goals. Aaron will begin by providing an introduction to lenses and portfolio plans. I'll follow that with a short demo showing how to create a new portfolio plans. And then we'll circle back with Aaron for a drill down on how it all works. And while we're confident that most of what we'll be discussing and showing are features that are available as of our current Tokyo release, if we do mention any planned new features, we'll be sure to clarify that they're on our roadmap and subject to change. And so we've also included our safe harbor notice that this presentation may contain forward-looking statements that reflect the current beliefs of ServiceNow, all based on current information available. Actual results may differ materially and should not be relied upon in making purchasing decisions. And as always, we'll save a few minutes at the end for Q&A, so please submit any questions you have to the Q&A. Welcome, Aaron. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Deborah. We are going to start off by taking a high-level look at the new lenses. So this is really from a high-level conceptual perspective. We have all this various data and work that is strewn throughout our system. And in order to put meaning to this data, we need to be able to filter it down, and we are using lenses to filter this through a certain perspective of those who are planning. So let's take an example here. Is that if we're looking through an organization lens, all of this information will be sifted through this organization lens, and imagine that we're a department head. And so we're going to be looking at specific departments, maybe the HR department or the sales department, and our portfolio plans will automatically structure all of that information into a roadmap, providing you with goals and a prioritization module all within one place so that you can make sure to get all of your teams on the same page and make sure that you have a shared strategy. But what lenses enable us to do is that imagine that we also in parallel have some type of product owner or product manager that needs to look at specific product models. We're able to then sift all that various data through the product lens as well, look at specific product models, and it will output that portfolio plan that we can share with our teams. Strategic investments work the same way. We might be looking at strategic programs and then make our portfolio plans based on these strategic programs. So let's talk a little bit about why we decided to make these changes. We at ServiceNow, we value the feedback from our customers. And so we gathered a whole lot of feedback from our customers, and we decided that we needed to expand our data model so that we can have multiple different portfolios exist in parallel. So that's really critical to our customers because we don't just plan based on an organizational perspective. We also plan based on our strategic programs, as an example, or we might plan based on our product models. And so we want to give our customers that flexibility. So we see a lot of our customers going through product shifts. So we want to be able to look through the product lens without having to give up that organizational lens. And so that's one of the major reasons that we've done this here. We also want to provide a better experience for large companies that have complex structures. Okay, so we want to be able to handle large amounts of data, but also large organizational structures as well. The next is that this change is also a foundation for future releases where we intend to provide more and more value into these portfolio plans. And then I do want to call out this additional note is that these three out-of-the-box lenses, these are the three that are coming out today. There are many other lenses that we intend to release out of the box, so stay tuned for that. Lenses are also a great way to unify within the Now platform, because this allows us that no matter where you are in the Now platform, whether you're in HR, ESG, you're using digital portfolio management, you're using product models, you're handling business capabilities, maybe as an enterprise architect, we need to plan as all of those people And so strategic portfolio management and specifically Alignment Planner Workspace are going to allow us to plan within the Now platform, no matter what solution you're using. Let's talk a little bit about the high-level benefits here. We're going to see a boost in flexibility. Historically, with Alignment Planner Workspace, there's been a bit of an administrative burden to be able to kind of twist the planning hierarchy to meet your needs of today. With these lenses, these are built out of the box, and so there's this reduced administrative burden to try to match the way that a company is broken down. Increased alignment. So we want to make sure that all of our work is aligned to strategy and that we're delivering on value. And this is going to make it much easier because planners are going to be able to look at their world through their own lens. And then saving time. We are going to be able to distribute these strategies and get a shared strategy among our teams. So you can make one portfolio plan and share it with a whole team of people. Now we are going to get into lenses and portfolio plans themselves with a couple definitions. So first, let's define lenses. These are a predefined structure representing how an organization prioritizes, funds, and plans work. So let's take a look at the 3 out-of-the-box lenses. We have the organization lens. And within the organization lens, there are 3 layers to the hierarchy. There's the company. Within the company, we have many business units. And within a specific business unit, we have many departments. Okay, this is the out-of-the-box organization structure. This can, of course, be tailored, and we're going to go over that in just a little bit. Next is the product structure. This is built with company and product model, followed by strategic investments, which has company, strategic priority, followed by initiative, and strategic program. So these are the 3 out-of-the-box lenses. We are going to see these in live action. We are also going to drill into these even further throughout this presentation. And lenses enable, or they filter down what we see within our portfolio plans. Okay, portfolio plan, a user-defined, shareable portfolio that combines relevant strategy and work on a visual roadmap. So this is going to include within Alignment Planner Workspace, the roadmap, the goals, our prioritization module, excuse me. But that's not all. We are going much further with portfolio plans in the future. Okay, so for future releases, we are looking at capacity planning, scenario planning, financial planning, all within these portfolio plans. So you're going to see more and more functionality get released over time. Okay, so this is really critical to understand that we are changing the game in portfolios. It is no longer just a table. It is a whole experience around how you manage a portfolio. So let's take a look at how we build portfolio plans in 4 easy steps. And followed by this, Deborah is actually going to take us into this live within the tool so that we can see it firsthand. First thing that we're going to do is imagine that we are a department or a business unit head. In this case, we are going to be the head of the HR department. Okay, so we decide that we are going to sift things through the organization lens. Then in step 2, we will select our entity type. So we are going to, in this case, select department. It'll bring up all the departments within the system, and we're going to select HR. We do have the option if we're looking over, let's say, HR and operations or HR and finance, you can select many entities if you'd like. Followed by step 3, we are going to head into how many planning items we want to see or what types of planning items we want to see in our portfolio plan. So in this case, we might select demands, project, and epics because we want to see all of them in parallel. And this is getting a hybrid view of the world. And this is one of the major values of Alignment Planner Workspace in these portfolio plans is that we're able to plan all work in a single location. Next, magically, this portfolio plan will be created. It'll bring in all of your relevant information, and then you can use that portfolio plan. You can share that portfolio plan. You can modify that portfolio plan over time. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Deborah, and she is going to take us through a live demo.
Thank you, Aaron. You see my screen, Aaron? Just double checking.
Sure can.
Perfect. And Aaron, please feel free to chime in if there's anything else you would like to say as I go through my demo as well. So we've logged in as Megan, who is an HR department head and a portfolio manager, and she wants to create a hybrid portfolio plan to help her to prioritize and track all the work in her HR department. Just as Erin said, so those steps that Erin just showed you, we're going to walk through them here. And what she's looking at, for example, are all the different plans that she has either created. So in this case, she's looking at all plans. So what we're looking at is everything owned by Megan, as well as all the plans she has access to. But if Joe or Susan created a plan and shared them with her, she could filter by that and easily see that too. And we'll see how she can easily share with other plans. She also has access to any freeform roadmap plans that she might create as well. Let's move forward and just show how she created any and all of those plans. What we'll see, she's going to be able to create these plans in 4 super simple steps. And the very first step is that she's going to select the lens that best represents how she wants to view and plan her work. That lens structure, as Erin had mentioned, represents the way that different planning managers would prioritize, fund, or plan their work. And it helps her not only to easily do this, pick this, but to do it in a way that's going to be consistent with other department heads in her organization. Again, just to walk through this, department heads like Megan might want to see the portfolio plan through the perspective of this organization lens right here. And that includes the entity types such as company. Beneath that, we have business unit, or she might want to look instead of across the company, just at her department, which is what we're going to do in a second. Product managers, on the other hand, might want to see things via a lens that includes company and the product models that the company supports associated with those planning items. They all would be associated at the lowest end with the individual planning items. And strategy leaders might want to focus on strategic investments with those entity types that include company, strategic priorities, initiatives, and strategic programs. And of course, as Erin mentioned, you can work with your administrator to modify either these structures or to create your own new structure, as well as different entity types as needed. Megan is actually going to select the organization lens. And as a planning manager, she can actually create multiple portfolio plans using the same lens or different lenses. In step 2, Megan is going to select the entity type. And by entity type, here they are right here again. So right at the highest level, we had company, business unit. She's the HR department head, so she just wants to select department. That was the default that was selected here, but we could easily select any one of these. If I selected business unit, it would give me a list of all the different business units here. Or company, she just says one company, she works for Acme, so it would just show Acme. But in this case, we have a department. She could select one or more entities then from that. If she wanted to, she's the HR department head, she could select HR, but maybe for whatever reason, she also wants to look at some related finance work. She could select that to be included in this portfolio and all the related work for that. In this case, she just wants to include HR work. So it's as simple as that. The next step we're going to do, identify the planning item types that we want to include in this portfolio. What kind of work? In this case, Megan wants to create a hybrid portfolio consisting of new demands coming in, traditional project work, as well as agile project work. So she could select any or all of these, or maybe she wants to exclude the agile work for whatever reason. She could do so right here by doing that. We're going to include that work. She could also, if she wanted to, filter to look at just specific work. You can plug in any type of, maybe it over certain planned costs, for example, or where the priority, if I could plug it in here, priority is higher critical. And then the last piece we want to do is give it a name, a start date, an end date, a description. And there we go. And I'm not going to create this because, as I mentioned before, I already have that plan. Once we do hit this create button, it's as simple as that to be able to create a new portfolio. And again, the value is that she's creating these portfolios in a consistent structure that help her to look at not only her own work in a consistent way, but other department heads also have a familiar way to be able to view work Once she hits that create button, she now has immediate insight into the related work, as well as the related goals and targets for that department and that related work. Here she sees the goals by her department. She has one major goal, we'll see in a second. That goal is on track. She can see what of the work included in this portfolio, the highest level goal that it's aligned to, as well as if there were any review dates due for certain targets that we have set, that would show up here as well. Let's take a look at the details of that by clicking on the hierarchy. Here we can see a hierarchical view of the status and progress of the main goal for this portfolio. So the main goal at a department level, her company might have goals. Maybe some of the highest level goals for the companies are to increase employee satisfaction. And one of the ways she's going to do that in her department is she set a department level goal to redesign employee compensation to help work with that. And she could also have associated sub goals as well as targets related to that goal. Goals are objectives that she wants to reach based on her strategic plans for her department. And then the targets are to be able to track what is it do you want to achieve and by what date. So if we scroll across here, we can see the highest level goal, the targets, the overall status. The progress can be either manually updated or there's an option to be able to have that target source fed in from any table in ServiceNow. For example, if you have a benefit or cost plan and you update that cost plan, it can automatically feed in to the target progress. Or PA indicator, for example, when the PA indicators are updated, that can automatically feed into the target to update the target as well. So here we can track the target and goals of everything we're doing. We could also create a new sub goal, set a new target, align additional work for this goal as well. And then once we have that set, we're going to take a look at the planning view. And here's where we can prioritize, group, sort all the work in this portfolio. So here's everything related based on how Megan built this portfolio. Here's all the work. Some of it, we'll see if we scroll down, some of it is prioritized, which means we've added it to the roadmap. This is the work we want to be doing. Other work is in review state, new state. We'll take a look at that in a second. As we scroll across, we can see it's related to certain goals. Let's group this by goal. I'm going to drag this up here. We'll expand this. We'll turn it down. And so here we can see we've got a variety of work, and I can look at that work all by the different goals or sub goals that this work is related to. So her portfolio might include work that is related to other goals as well, her overall goal. For example, we could actually open any one of these. We can open this demand. We could open this project here or this epic. In this case, we could also drill in. Let's say we want to drill into any one of these work items to see additional details about it. So here we can see additional details about this specific epic that we're working on, this Scrum epic. Goal relationships, it has its primary goal for this specific work item is related to improving employee satisfaction. It could be related to one or more goals, but only one of them is set as the primary goal. We can see any milestones that might be available for this, as well as any dependent items. And in this case, it has two dependent items. And we're going to see this on the roadmap as well. So we can see that it's dependent on two related items. So we also have nice breadcrumbs up here, and I can easily tack back to where I was before. I'm just going to click on HR department, and it brings me right back here. Now, say we want to add some additional work to help us achieve our initiatives or our goals. And one of the things we want to do is add this Women in Technology initiative. And I'm going to change it to prioritized after we're all set with that. And now that's automatically added to our roadmap. Before I leave here, I just wanted to point out we could easily add new demands, projects, or epics right from here, as well as edit the portfolio plan details that we just created. We could also easily share this portfolio with other stakeholders. So if I said share, with Jake Elliott, for example, and Jake logged in, when he hit that very first portfolio button, he could look at just the portfolio plans that were shared with him, and he'd see this one pop up for him. At this point, let's go to our roadmap. And here's where Megan is going to be able to see all the prioritized initiatives on a timeline. Here we have demands, epics, and projects. So we've got our hybrid roadmap. They're color-coded by two types, so planning item types, as well as by primary goal. So here we see the primary goal, and each work item might be related to a different primary goal, but they're all part of this HR portfolio of work. So here's all the work that Megan's HR department is working on. We can also see some additional information by opening up our personalization bar. So for example, we might want to see our roadmap milestones. And over here, we have our milestones. So we have an FY23 kickoff event. And a color-coded one here, we just did our Q3 review, and it's color-coded in green, letting me know that we achieved that. We could also look at different item level milestones. So we've got a project kickoff here for HR Knowledge. We've got another one here. In this case, we've got an employee recognition event. So different types of milestones can pop up and show. And we're also looking at dependencies. We can add or remove different fields on here to see different things like actual cost, plan cost, etc. And as I hover over any one of these, we're able to see some additional information. So this is that item that we looked at on the prioritization tab, where we were able to see the different dependency items, or say I wanted to relate it to a different goal. For example, I could easily, maybe if instead of improve employee satisfaction, it were improve customer satisfaction, I could actually move that up and drag it there. And now it's related to that specific goal. Now, the last thing Megan wants to be able to do is to turn on the tracking mode to be able to see the progress and status. Here we can see just by hovering over that this HR information system is in green. And as the progress of any one of these work items advances, simply hover over to easily see whether or not the HR department work is on track to meet their company's goals. Aaron, I'm going to turn it back over to you so you can do a little more of a deep dive drill on how this all works under the covers.
Great. Thank you so much for that demo there, Deborah. A lot of questions on this, so we'll take a little bit of time on the out-of-the-box lenses and the other possibilities that we can do with it. So the organization lens, the company business unit department, this is out of the box with a standard license, okay? You will have access to demands and projects, but you will not have access to epics and any custom planning items that you'd like with that standard license. I want to make a note here. You can adjust the organization lens to match your company still with a standard license, okay? What comes out of the box with professional is you have your strategic investments lens and your product lens, okay? There's an actual install in the store called Lenses for Alignment Planner Workspace, and that will be installed, and you will get these out of the box lenses. You will have access in professional to epics, and you can also create your own custom planning items. Someone asked about some agile stories, or maybe you want to have your safe epics and your agile epics separated. There's a variety of different ways that you can do that. You can bring in features, anything of that sort. Okay, and then I do want to call out the configurable lens. So you can make your own lenses or modify the existing ones. You have a maximum of 6 levels that you can work with. Okay, so this is an outline of the out-of-the-box lenses. And we are planning to add additional lenses or even add additional kind of out-of-the-box hierarchy levels of these lenses over time. So stay tuned for future releases. And let's take a quick look at this configured example. So this gives you an idea. This is not a best practice of how to configure your environment, but I want to show you that you can make this look however you want. Business capability, that was a new lens right there. Value stream, that was a lens that someone created. You'll also notice that Epic has been split into Epic and Safe Epic. Okay, that is not out of the box. That's something that somebody has configured. You'll also notice that there is no strategic program under initiative in that strategic investments lens. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that you can modify these to meet your company's needs. Okay, there is a guided setup provided. So if you would like to adjust any of your lenses or add a new lens, we have all the steps laid out in a clean way for you right here in guided setup. Next, I want to talk about the conceptual diagram for Alignment Planner Workspace. This will really help put things in perspective for you, is that we have a few new tables in the Alignment Planner Workspace configuration. Okay, we have portfolio plans. This is what we actually interact with. You don't actually work in this table. It's more for the user experience. We have our lenses, and within a lens, you have a lens structure. That's your hierarchy levels. That's your organization, your business unit, and your department, or excuse me, your company, your business unit, and your department, as an example. That's your lens structure. Within the lens structure, you are using tables that are aligned to CMDB. Okay, so you'll see some of these tables right there. And those are going to be, and somebody asked, and I'll put it in quotes, the common tables. We do not make replicas of these tables. They're the same department table that you're already using. Okay, these link into your planning items, and this is where the special sauce happens within Alignment Planner Workspace, is that we bring together demands, projects, and epics into this planning item table so that we're able to visualize all work on that Alignment Planner Workspace. And then we can extend that planning item table, and we can add features, we could add, stories, whatever you want to add as far as a planning item. And then we split this into the execution tables. So the execution tables are what you're actually working with when you're executing. The alignment tables are your planning tables. This allows us to make temporary modifications while we're planning that doesn't affect live work. Okay, until we decide that we want it to. That's why there is an internal sync between the two. Okay, so this is our conceptual diagram. Hopefully this helped put this in perspective of exactly what's happening here. And then I want to round it off here. I want to check with you, Deborah, anything specifically that we want to answer live? I know we're kind of running short on time. I want to hand it back to you to close out on our upcoming webinars.
Yeah, unfortunately. Let me just close out on this, and then we can talk about that. So I'd like to thank you, Aaron, and I'd like to thank our audience for joining us for the 2022 season of our Last Thursdays with SPM webinar series. We're going to be publishing the schedule for our upcoming 2023 season later this month. And look for that information on our community site, where you can also view this webinar again, as well as access any of our previous Last Thursdays webinars on demand from the SPM forum at community.servicenow.com. So let's turn now really quickly. Let's just take a minute or two to see if there are any questions. I know we've gone over by a minute, but I think there were so many questions, a lot of interest in this. Aaron, did you see any that?
I think I did answer most of these ones either live or answered. For some of your very specific questions around your setup or anything more around lenses, feel free to reach out to myself directly or reach out to your account team, and they'll find their way to us. But this is some really exciting new functionality coming out. We're going to have additional follow-up materials as well. So this is really our first look at it. So really stay tuned in the future, and we will have more for you. And really appreciate you joining here, and for all the questions and interest in this new Alignment Planner lenses and portfolio plans.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And as we said before, apologies for the questions we didn't get to, but we will be posting much more content on this as we move forward. It's a key solution for us, and hopefully for you. Thank you all.